Prepare for a true revolution.
Actually, you can prove God exists.
Questioning tradition, because what you've been taught isn't always true.
Welcome to Truth Revolution. This is where faith and reason meet. I'm Dave, and with me is Pastor Jeff of Revolution Church.
And today is the science versus faith throwdown.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's right. Bringing some heat today.
Whoever will win?
Ooh, we just don't know. It's going to blow your minds. So this is the science versus faith throwdown. Is science the defender of truth, or is faith the defender of truth?
There are people in both corners.
Yeah, there are. As a matter of fact, there are really angry people in both corners.
It's almost like politics,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
It is. Now, we contend something here. We contend that both science and faith have truth in them.
Right.
And you don't have to throw away your brain to believe in either one of them. You don't have to throw away your soul to believe in either one of them.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not a bunch of hayseeds. Well, Christianity isn't for a bunch of hayseeds. And, you know, science isn't necessarily for a bunch of nerdy folk either.
That's right.
You know?
And we've got 8 conclusions about science versus faith today. 8 things we're going to say science does this, faith does this. Kind of opposite sides of the coin.
Okay.
And we're going to get into those today. Of course, we're from Revolution Church in Salina, Kansas. And we would love to have you come out, visit Revolution Church.
Definitely.
Right now we meet 9 and 11 on Sunday mornings. If you're listening to this in the podcast version or YouTube version later on, you'll want to check revo.church, our website, for the current times. But right now we meet 9 and 11 on Sunday mornings, and we'd love to have you come out and join us. Easter's coming next month.
Right.
We're having some baptisms on this Sunday. It's going to be, it's just a good time.
It is. This is basically, the show is like where faith and reason meet, and then the church is a lot like that, you know, in the fact that a lot of things are explained. If there's something you don't understand, you can even text a question in and it gets answered.
Yeah,
You
even
know?
during the sermon.
Right.
While I'm preaching, people texting questions. It comes to the screen on the stage. I can answer the question right there. Because we're not against questions, and we're also not a bunch of people just saying, well, we got it all figured out. But we're exploring it, and we're learning about God together.
Right.
We're not there to judge anyone. We're there to, sometimes you'll judge me and I'll judge your actions, because we are members who've said,
Right.
please hold me accountable, but we don't judge anyone else that comes in. As a matter of fact, we expect people to come in who are new every single week. Guests, we expect you to come in, and we don't put any expectations on you.
Right.
Just on us.
And you know, it's funny because you say we don't act like we all got it figured out. We got it all figured out or anything like that. Because it's like almost when we do figure something out, we look at each other really surprised, like, what?
What?
What just happened?
All right, so the science versus faith throwdown. Of course, we can answer a Bible contradiction today. We also got a listener question, but science can make microwaves.
It makes convenient things.
Convenience. But faith can bring simplicity and peace.
Yes.
Now, both of these things are awesome, right? So, and what we don't want to do is walk away here going, see, well, we are Christians, and so science is stupid. Like, that's not. No. Look, science brings convenience. It brings microwaves. What are some other things it's done that are convenient for? Cars.
Cars, yeah. Wow, was that science? I guess that was science.
Technology. Science,
Yeah,
technology.
We take a lot of things for
STEM.
granted from science, you know? Yeah. And, cell phones,
Yeah.
you know?
That's good. Pacemakers.
Yeah. Clothes. I mean, polyester.
Clothes are very, yeah, they feel
Polyester,
good.
you
It's
know?
more convenient when you go to the gym.
Yeah. Under Armour.
Under Armour clothes, absolutely. I mean, there's all sorts of things technology-wise that make our lives more convenient. They bring all sorts of convenience.
Medicine.
Yeah, we're going to talk about medicine actually next, I think.
Jumping ahead.
But,
Sorry.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though. Faith doesn't necessarily bring convenience to our lives. I'm going to be honest about that.
Yeah, matter of fact, faith can be inconvenient if you allow it to be, because you know, if your mind is set in the wrong way, if you are set on worldly ways, and faith shines a light on the way you're living is not the way you should be living.
That's not very convenient.
Yeah, it can be inconvenient for you at the time.
Yeah, like we even talk about, you know, God's intention for people and their relationships, and like whether or not you should be living with someone you're not married to and stuff like that. And like, whoa, that's not convenient at all.
Right? No,
you
know, especially you know when you get convicted and you feel like, well, now we've got to separate and move out and live. You know, it's financially difficult. But you know what?
Right.
Living the way God intended us to live can be inconvenient in that mindset, but it's so much better.
Well, faith brings, as we were saying, simplicity and peace. Now, Yeah, I love my microwave. All right, I pop some corn dogs in there, and it's like 30 seconds later, kid's got some food.
Right.
My
Perfect man kitchen right there.
even even the oven, or hey, I can cook real food. This morning for breakfast for my family of 7, I made sausage patties, scrambled eggs, and croissants with an egg drizzle on top.
Wow.
I can cook, Dave. But I'm just saying the microwaves are nice. I did do the sausage patties in the microwave. Those are pre-cooked. Anyway, enough about my eating habits.
Do tell.
I love the convenience, but the faith brings this simplicity to life and this peace to life, because we actually, in our denomination, we have this core value called living simply. Dave, will you read that?
We value uncluttered lives, which free us to love boldly, give generously, and serve joyfully.
That's right. As followers of Christ, we recognize what he did is sometimes he pulled himself away from the crowds. Says he found lonely places to pray. He simplified his life. He didn't just buy into every convenience. Although conveniences are good, you just don't buy into every single one of those.
Right.
Your cell phone doesn't have to be on you all the time. We find that time with God and time with people where you genuinely love them. The habits that you are supposed to develop as followers of Jesus create a simpler life and a more peaceful life.
Amen.
That you cannot have if you are overloaded with convenience.
Right. I mean, because if you live that life where you are constantly on the go, I mean, at the end of the day, more often than not, and I found this true in my life, it's hard to unwind.
Oh man.
Yeah. Whereas if you give yourself a little bit of downtime, give yourself some time with God to be able to study his word or to just communicate with him, that tends to decompress you, and then you have an easier way of resting.
That's right. And without faith, we can't really truly find peace. Without experiencing a relationship between the creator of you and you, you're not going to find that ultimate peace.
Right.
That ultimate simplicity of life and direction where you're going. You're not going to find it unless you have that creator. So science can bring convenience, but faith brings simplicity and peace. All right, next one.
Science can make life longer, which is actually a convenience. Faith.
Or an inconvenience.
Right, that's true. It's all about quality of life
so
at that point.
Science can make life longer.
Faith can tell us the meaning of life.
Both of those are really good things. They can be great things. You mentioned medicine just a little bit ago. You were jumping ahead, as you often do, because your brain works so fantastically.
Yeah,
I'm actually
that's
impressed by that, Dave.
With the quantum leap forward.
It is. So science can make our lives longer. Medicine, certainly. I have asthma. I probably wouldn't have lived up to this point even if there wasn't any medicine.
Right.
And so it can make our lives longer. But faith is actually what can bring meaning into life. Science and technology can't actually bring you meaning.
Right.
To the core of your existence.
This is actually quite like the one we just talked about, where faith can bring simplicity and peace. When you can find meaning in something, it gives you peace. Because without meaning, you're constantly wondering and searching, and
right.
It's a crazy thing.
Science is the next one. Science can measure the age of the earth and universe.
Faith can introduce us to the creator of the earth and the universe.
Again, these are cool things. Like we talk about the age of the universe all the time. We think the earth is 4 billion years old. The universe is 14-some billion years old. Somewhere around those numbers. It's constantly being updated. So, I mean, we love that science can speak to these issues.
Right.
And it's important for science to speak to these issues of I don't want to call it origins, of beginnings, of the age, of our history and our past,
right.
What things were like, what things may be like in the future. But faith actually tells us the meaning of life, not just how long life has existed. And faith introduces us to the creator of the earth and the universe. It doesn't just tell us how long it's been. In fact, faith doesn't tell us how long it is. The Bible, people read the Bible and they make extrapolations, they interpret certain passages a certain way, and then they make extrapolations based on those passages and come up with an age for the earth. But the Bible doesn't actually give an age for the earth, but it does introduce us to the creator of the earth.
Amen.
And the creator of the universe. And if you want to know who the creator is, you're not going to be able to do a scientific experiment on him.
Right, because as we've discussed in earlier shows, it's very difficult to actually have an experiment or study something that knows it's being studied.
Right, which is our problem with prayer studies. When people say, well, we're going to do a scientific experiment on prayer, and we're going to have these 100 people prayed for, and it's going to be a double-blind study, so none of those people being prayed for know they're going to be prayed for, and we're going to compare those people to other 100 people who are not being prayed for.
Right.
We say, well, this is dumb because, well, first of all, how do you know those other 100 people aren't being prayed for? But even aside from all that, it's not a double-blind study because the major thing you're studying is whether or not God answers prayer, and
Right.
he knows you're doing the study.
Right.
And he's already said, do not test me. He has said, I will not participate in tests when you test me.
Right.
And so already, as soon as you do a prayer test, you know your results are going to be inconclusive because he's already told you, I'm not going to participate in that.
Right. People can be quite silly sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, but science, so in other words, science can't measure God, but
Right.
but faith can teach us about who God is. So
Right.
important stuff. All right, Dave, let's do another one.
Science can tell us who committed a crime. Mm-hmm. Faith can provide us with a moral absolute or with moral absolutes.
Yeah, that's good. Now this is important to understand. Science cannot say that rape is wrong.
Right.
It can't.
Right. Science is very, I guess, washed out. I mean, as far as it's very, bleached, I guess. It has no motive or anything like that. It just knows the facts.
It is raw data.
Right, it is. And faith, when it provides us with moral absolutes, you have a measure of, if I do this, this is going to happen. I mean, that's scientific, but it's the morality of it is where you get into how wrong something is.
Yes. If there is no God, then there is no moral standard above ourselves.
Right.
And we just create what we think right or wrong is. Or some people say, well, evolution created morality. Well, then something's not actually evil. It's just what society as a whole dislikes.
Right, and it gives us basically that viewpoint gives us a opportunity to just go wild and say, "Hey, let's do what we want to do," but we don't do that, do we?
No, we can't. And as a matter of fact, you would all say, rape is wrong. It is evil. Period. End of story.
Right.
There is no scenario in which rape is a
Right.
good thing. And so, but if you think we got morality from evolution or from our culture, if all humans agreed, you know what, let's go ahead and rape's a good thing. We agree on that. Then our culture would say rape's a good thing. But we know it's not. We know it's evil, and it will never not be evil.
Right.
Because there is a God who has these moral absolute. They are absolutely morally right or wrong for all time. Religion and faith speak into that because they come from God. Science can't speak into that. Now, science is important because we identified rape as wrong because of our faith, because of moral absolutes.
Right.
We know this is God. He's given us these rules, and it's always wrong. Rape is always wrong. Science helps us, though, because science can tell us who committed the crime. Science can test the DNA and help us find out who the perpetrator of a crime is.
Right.
Science can trace a bullet back to a gun and consequently to the owner of a gun.
Right, and it's crazy. It's getting better and better all the time.
It is. And so science can do very important things, and we love science. Science is meaningful, and it's good. But faith is the one who provides us with those moral absolutes to begin with.
Amen.
Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. We also are going to do a Bible contradiction and a listener question. But we're coming up to this break, and we're going to actually, on the other side of the show, we're going to get into some deeper things about science and faith.
Right on.
Man, I can't believe we're going to be out of time by the time we get to that. But let me just speak to the review really quickly, okay? So we did 4 of them already. Science can make microwaves and convenience, but faith can bring simplicity and peace. Science can make life longer. Faith can tell us the meaning of life. Science can measure the age of the universe. Faith can introduce us to the creator of the universe.
Amen.
Science can tell us who committed the crime. Faith can provide us with moral absolutes. So we know what to make crime. All right. TruthRevolution.tv is the website.
Right. You can find past shows. You can get truth shots there. Truth shots are 60 seconds of truth. And you can donate.
That's right.
Ask questions, too.
And if you listen on KSAL, I'd like you to visit TruthRevolution.tv. Check out our podcast. We're probably doing a station change here shortly. Also, you should be interested in donating to this show. If you enjoy this, if you learn from this, you can help this show be on air.
Yeah.
Dave, we're on like 12, 13, 14 channels, something like that.
14 channels at the moment.
14 channels.
Yeah, and if you get absolutely anything out of it, doesn't matter how much you give.
Yeah. TruthRevolution.tv.
Truth shots from Truth Revolution.
I was like, Dave's stuck in a paragraph. I can tell
Sorry.
right now.
Sorry about that. They're starting a paragraph. And Dave's paragraphs can get pretty long.
Was that wrong, or was that, or did you
No.
did you kind of start a?
No, you're
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I was just basically going to say, you know, you don't. It doesn't matter how much or how little you give.
Gotcha.
I keep forgetting. For the past 3 weeks, when it goes to commercial, is there a way that we can just mute that commercial audio instead of you going in there and hitting like pause and then like, because it's kind of awkward with trying to time me blacking out. There have been a couple times when the blackout comes just as that commercial starts, and if I were to cut it any shorter than that, then we would get some of that audio before it's completely blacked out. And so on video it would be not a complete fade out.
You upload that when you're done, right?
Yes. I upload it and then I edit it in YouTube.
You can't add audio.
Not easily.
Hmm.
I have to re-download it.
Trying to think how to mute that.
Edit on a different track.
Yeah. Probably have to do that.
I mean, we don't have to do it tonight,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
How much
I just keep forgetting.
how much silence do you need? Just like a second?
Well, it's just a matter of timing when I hit the fade out button.
How long does the fade out last?
It's not long at all.
Okay.
But the sound of the commercial clicks on real quick. And there have been a couple times when it's been a close call. It hasn't ever crossed the threshold so far, but I worry about it.
Okay. I've wondered if we should. I mean, because every station we're on, I don't think any of them use that commercial break.
You don't think? I don't listen. I'm usually at church.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I could check with them.
So what you're saying is we could just go ahead and pull that out and make it silent?
Yeah. Or we could make it shorter. You know, we could cut it down to a 30-second break.
I wouldn't want to do that
Why?
because that doesn't give them the opportunity. Being in radio, I mean, you want about a 2-minute break. You know, that's your typical break. And if you know, especially if it gets to the point that maybe they want to try and sell the show, you know, if somebody wants to do a 60-second ad, you know, or if they can get a couple of sponsors, you know, they wouldn't have room to.
Yeah, it's a 3-minute break right now. So.
Is it, you got it? Probably cut it down to 2.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do the show.
Okay.
Ready? In this world.
Truth Revolution.
And we're back. It is a science and faith throwdown.
Yes.
That's a nicely timed explosion.
All right. So we're on to number 5 now. The difference between science and faith.
Right. Science can test data available to us. Faith can provide a conceptual framework for data beyond us.
That's right. Now, this is important stuff. This semi-relates back to the previous point about science being able to help us solve crimes, but faith tells us what the moral absolutes are.
Right.
This is kind of the same thing, but it's pulled out a little bit, zoomed out. Right. Science tests data that's available, but faith can actually look at conceptual frameworks for data that is beyond us. Darren Hewer writes on his blog, and he says this.
Science cannot prove that you aren't merely a brain in a jar being manipulated to think this is all actually happening. Think of something like in The Matrix. It also cannot prove that this world wasn't created 5 minutes ago with the appearance of age and with fake memories in your head and half-digested food in your stomach, etc. However, it's still rational to believe that our memories are true and that the world is real.
Okay, now here's what's interesting. He admits, and I really don't know what perspective this guy's writing from, Christian or agnostic or whatnot, but he admits, science can't prove that you're a brain in a jar, just experiencing whatever input a computer puts in your head.
Right.
Science can't prove that our universe wasn't just made 5 minutes ago with all our memories and fake evidence intact.
Right.
Like that may have happened, and science has no way to be able to prove that one way or the other. Then he says, but it's still rational to believe our memories are true and the world is real. Now, he used the wrong word. If we're only using science, it's not rational to believe that. It's easier to believe that as a starting point. Okay, it's a better hypothesis to start with what we are experiencing is real than to start with everything I know is a lie.
Right.
Because you get nowhere with that, right? But science can actually speak to that. If all that is true is scientific truth, then it is not more rational to believe that our memories are true. It actually may be more irrational because you have either the option that everything you know and experience has been true, or there's 100 million ways for you to be experiencing something not real.
Right.
Hallucinations. This universe was made 5 minutes ago. It's aliens putting you in a jar and teaching you fake things.
Right. Or I'm in a movie and everything around me is just fake. You know?
You're a Truman Show guy.
Yeah.
Right. There's many more explanations than this is the real world.
Right.
So it's not rational if you're just using a scientific basis. But faith can actually provide a conceptual framework for this data that's beyond us. How do we know that we're not just a brain in a jar somewhere?
Right.
Well, faith actually gives us these conceptual frameworks so that we can think beyond ourselves. Okay, why did he use the word rational to believe that our memories are true?
Because it's the opposite of irrational.
Because he lives in a world where the framework is what I see is real. Mm-hmm. Here's what's interesting. The Christian worldview believes that what you see is real. What you experience is real. It gives you a conceptual framework that the world really exists and you are really experiencing the real world. You get into Buddhism or Hinduism, these other religions, they say, no, this is not real. You are experiencing, especially Hinduism and branches in there, you are experiencing an illusion. This is not real. And so there are other faith systems that say, no, this isn't, you're not experiencing, science isn't real even. Faith, the Christian faith, provides a conceptual framework. This means a way of viewing the world that makes it possible for us to understand things that are beyond us, like we're not a brain in a jar.
Wow.
So pretty
that was
interesting,
well said.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. All right. Number 6.
Science can measure whether or not we are conscious and make someone conscious or unconscious. Faith can explain the existence of consciousness and the purpose for it and how to deal with it.
Yeah, now think about how cool this is. You go to the hospital, they can give you a shot, and poof, you're out,
you're gone.
right?
Yep.
You're gone. They can measure whether you're conscious or not. They can measure your brain waves if you're in a coma and know if there's pain there.
They can even bring you back.
Yeah, they can wake you up from comas. I mean, this is important and interesting stuff.
Right.
The difference, and faith can't do that. I just can't be like, Dave, I just believe I put you in a coma and like, poof, you're gone. No, like faith doesn't do that. But what faith can do is it can explain the existence of consciousness.
Right.
With science can't really do that. Why
Hard data.
do we have thoughts? Why are we aware of our own existence? Science can't explain that concept. Faith also explains the purpose for our consciousness is to glorify God.
Amen.
To worship Jesus. We exist to recognize the greatness of something greater than ourselves. We also faith can help us deal with, how do I deal with my consciousness, my depression, or my good fortunes? Faith helps us deal with all these things and in a moral way. Science can't do that. Science just measures whether you have consciousness or not. What do you say we take a break and go do a Bible contradiction?
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to do it.
contradiction.
All right, this Bible contradiction is all about the robe that Jesus wore. Was it scarlet? It says in Matthew 27:28, and they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe. This is while he was being punished.
So his robe was scarlet?
Yes. Mark 15:17 says, and they clothed him with purple and platted a crown of thorns and put it about his head. John 19:2 says, and the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put on him a purple robe. So in both of those, it's purple. So what is it, scarlet or purple?
All right. This is like this.
A little vein in your forehead's coming out, by the way.
This is a really frustrating contradiction to do. Okay, this was from the Skeptic's Annotated Bible. This is a great example of D for dialect and C for credibility. We use the correct acronym CRACKED to interpret the Bible correctly and also to solve potential contradictions. All you have to know is the dialect, right? Sometimes people use hyperbole. Sometimes people use generic descriptions. Sometimes people exaggerate things when they write. The Bible uses this same type of language, right? We use archetypes. We use all metaphors, all sorts of stuff. And right here, it's pretty clear. Scarlet or purple? You know what? Jesus' robe was somewhere in the scarlety purple neighborhood.
Right. Somewhere in the red range.
That's right.
You know?
Darkish red with a hint of blue range.
Right.
I mean, some people might even call it scarlet. Some people might call it purple. It's not like they said, oh yeah, here's the RGB number for his robe was.
Right. It's like people call the color of my bike. Some people say, hey, that's a red bike, but it's listed as burgundy.
Mm-hmm. And they're describing the exact same bike.
Right.
And nobody would say that they were wrong.
Right.
They're giving a perfectly acceptable description of that color. Now, if they said it was white, you'd be like, what's
Totally
wrong with your
wrong.
eyes, right?
Exactly.
The Bible doesn't say Jesus' robe was white or green. It says scarlet and purple. Like, that's the same thing. This also should bring us to the C for credibility. If you think this is a contradiction worthy of throwing the Bible out, it really shows that you're not interested in finding the truth about the Bible. It shows that you're finding anything possible to strike against it.
Right, your mind's already made up.
So that's our answer for Bible contradiction today.
Bible contradiction.
Okay. Number 7.
Okay, science can measure physiological responses to and sometimes mimic the physical conditions of love, significance, and desire. Faith can explain the true definitions of love, significance, and desire, and how to handle those feelings.
Now that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. I mean, faith or science can measure, well, his pupils dilated, he perspirated a little bit, his heart beat harder when this girl was around. We think he's infatuated.
He must be in love.
That's right. Science can measure that. Science, in some cases, can reproduce those feelings if they hook up the right things to your brain. But what it can't do is what faith can do, which is explain the real definition of love. What is love? It's dilated eyes and sweat. No.
Right.
No.
That's crazy.
In that case, I'm in love with this jalapeno pepper I just ate, right? Like
exactly. I'm perspiring and I'm sure my pupils are dilated.
Right. But you understand what we mean, hopefully, listener. Right. Faith tells us what love is. Love never fails.
Right.
Love is sacrifice for someone else.
Right.
Love is a decision to put others ahead of yourself.
Yeah. Love is an example. God's given us examples of love and what to follow,
Faith gives us these conceptual frameworks to know how to deal with these things rightly. All right, let's do the last one.
All right. The last one.
The final one.
Turning the page here. All right. Science can help prove the validity of religious claims. Oh, they just met right there.
Yeah.
Faith can provide a conceptual framework where scientific claims are accepted, rejected, or even developed. I see what you did there.
Oh yeah,
it all comes together.
Faith
in the
and
end.
science, make it out. All right, so this is what we're talking. Did I just say that?
Yes, you did.
Sorry, I can get calls from station managers now.
Right.
All right, so
why should anything change now?
look, science does help prove the validity or invalidity of religious claims. You make a claim Jesus rose from the dead. Well, we can test some of those things. Right. You make a claim, when this happened, when they prayed for me, my cancer went away. Science can test that. Did your cancer really go away prior to or after you got prayed for?
Right.
So science is important in helping know whether religion is true or false. Faith, though, can actually provide a conceptual framework where scientific claims are accepted, rejected, or even developed. For instance, Dave, which religion provided a conceptual framework so that modern science could arise.
I'm going to go on a limb here.
Okay, try it. Just take a wild guess.
Christianity.
How'd you know that?
Where's my money?
Well, we did past shows on this, right?
Right.
Christian culture, wherever Christianity spread, scientific development spread.
Right.
Because we provided this framework. The world is real. You can actually believe in this world that what you're seeing is the real thing. It's you can expect the same things to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you where science came from. The science came from, in the Bible it says that God has put all around us proof of himself that men are left without an excuse. And men need to find out those things.
Yeah.
What's going on behind this? Where can I find God?
Massive list of early scientists, Newton, Kepler, Galileo, many more, all came to science because of their faith. And
Right.
they want to study the mind of God. Go to truthrevolution.tv and you can learn more about this. Type in science. Thanks for listening today. truthrevolution.tv is our website. We're going to have to get the listener question next week. Send in your questions if you want us to answer. We respond to every single one of them. Have a great week. God bless.